don't have a DUI and I get in trouble. I still have a family. I still have a, he says, you know, Chester, you wouldn't get here by accident. There's a reason why you're here. I know you have no concept what we do, but continue to come and see. If you don't have a problem, stop. But I didn't go because I told him this is a cult. He says, well, fine, if it is a cult, but it works. So he didn't really argue with me, and then he said one thing that's really stuck with me to this day, and I use it with other people. He says, you know, I want to tell you something. This is a program of not yets. He says, if you continue to drink and you continue to use, the yets that you have not experienced most likely will happen. Well, and I said, this will never happen to me. Well, all of it happened with interest over time. And so in December after the season, I came home and on the kitchen table was a 6-pack of Budweiser because I did so well for my ex-wife bought it for me, right? Well, then I started hiding beer and hiding whiskey and started having trouble, and my amount of pills continued to grow. And in 1980, I started using cocaine. And within a week, after I bought a gram, I started buying quarter ounces every week. And you know, those days I just snorted it. I didn't even know I could shoot it and smoke it. I was just naive. But that was the beginning of the end. I started using cocaine in August of 1980, week before first regular season game, and I had a miracle happen the first game. I scored a touchdown in overtime. We won the game. 6 weeks later, I was caught by the Green Bay Packers, and they had no clue why, and I had no clue. I knew why, and I went to my first treatment in October 1980, and I came out, and Houston Oilers signed me, and then they signed me to a very nice, lucrative contract for the next couple, 2 or 3 years. But I got very drunk and very high. I was in treatment again, and I went to my house. I took my daughter out to ice rink and brought her back and took her back. And when I took her back, my ex-wife says, "You're drunk." So of course, I'm not. But I went. I started walking out of the house. I went to my living room, and I took the rifle out, loaded it, walked back in the room, and threatened my family. It's still really hard for me to talk. And in my book that I wrote, Alive and Kicking: My Journey Through Football Addiction and Life, I dedicated the whole chapter on that because I had a lot of regrets. And I'm just glad I didn't shoot. Uh, Today I'm sure I would got felonies. Those days I didn't. And I think the reason not because Judge was saying because I did so much for the community and this and that. I got Huber Law for 40 days. So really when I think about it, it was like a slap in the hand. I got 5-year probation. I got off in 2 because I went back to college. So yeah, and then I stopped playing football because I was in jail. It was summertime. And I was asked to play again. I said no, and I was afraid of the money again, and because I might start using. But I never quit. And cocaine became whatever it took, I did. I didn't get to the point that I was stealing or threatening people because that was not my forte. I was not a street person. But I was selling things and some real nice things and continued to use. And then my first wife divorced me. I had a child that was 5, and I had an adopted son that was just like 8 months old. And to this day, the relationship is not so good, but I continue to pray and hope that maybe someday. Uh, so I went from Green Bay back to Michigan, stayed with my mom for a while, and I went to see a friend of mine in college, athletic director, and he says if I set up your courses, because I know you're not very far from graduating. This was in 1981. If I set up your courses, will you come back to college? We pay for everything. So I went and I graduated. So that was really neat. And in 1983, I went to my first treatment in Lansing. And since then, up until 2006, all I was in treatment, seems like it. I went to 21 treatments, plus the 22nd treatment had to be because I was going to be doing internship at that hospital, so they wanted to see if I would fit in. There was three of us, so that was a good experience. And I went to treatment. My last treatment was March 13th, 2007. 2007 to 8 to 06, somewhere in there. And it's been a good ride since. I have a good relationship with my kids. I got my job at New Day Treatment Center in Lance, Michigan, up by me. It was a native treatment center, and I was exposed to a completely different culture, different spirituality, and I really liked that. And so that was my last treatment. So miracles do happen, and I was thinking while I was in that treatment, I said, it was up to me. I was by myself. I'm not so sure this would be taking place. What's taking place? I really went there to continue to live because my kids were so little. And my dad took his life, and I didn't want to commit suicide on payments by drinking and drugging. And so I wanted them to be proud of me, and I wanted to be proud of them. And my dream was to see them graduate from high school. Well, they graduated from high school a long time ago. My youngest son is 27. My daughter's 30. I got another daughter in 30, and a grandpa. So I'm really enjoying life. And sometimes it's difficult. The easiest thing I ever done is to quit drinking and drugging. Hardest thing I ever done is to stay there. Because I quit lots of times, like most everybody that I know in the recovery program. They're gonna no, you're gonna quit someday. 5 years later, I still live on the someday street, right? And it continued, but then I got challenged by my friend in Ashland to do this internship, and I was gonna go there just to learn how to grow up a little bit, catch up with my emotional wellness, and I did. And then I was challenged to do some testing and this and that. Next thing I know, I'm a counselor at the treatment I've been to. I had two of my group members from 1990 in treatment. They were my clients in 2010. So it's been a good ride. And during the internship, I start coming to the conference in Menominee, Wisconsin. I've been coming here ever since, so I really enjoy it. Life on life terms sometimes is a really difficult time to deal with. I had a struggled year last year emotionally, and just things start falling apart. And well, here I am. I didn't fall apart, but I was close to fall apart. But I'm really grateful for the gift of sobriety that I have. I'm very spiritual. I'm not super religious, but I'm very spiritual, and I pray, and I have an open mind to a lot of different spirituality. Because when I was in Poland, there was only one spirituality, Catholics, and that's it. So, but over time, spirituality changed, and my friend told me, because I struggled, I was angry at God because my dad took his life and so on. And my friend told me, he says, Chester, just think about this. He says, religion is for people who are scared to go to hell. Spirituality is for those who have already been there. And that made sense to me, because I went to hell and back lots of times. I attempted suicide when I was 36 years old. I drank a mug of battery acid and red poison, and I died. It brought me back to life. There was a lot of consequences. health consequences, but today I'm doing real well. I used to have, couldn't eat through my mouth for 8 months. I had to have my esophagus stretch in the beginning twice a week and then once a month. And now I have it stretched maybe every 3 years. So the same doctor that told me it's not going to get better, they send me to Marshfield Clinic to specialists to do surgeries. They said, well, let's wait. And next thing I know, I had it stretched every 6 months and once a year. And miracles do happen. And I'm forever grateful. And I go to recovery meetings as many as I can. I work in the treatment center and I take my clients to 12-step meetings, whether it's NAAA, and I still go to 5 meetings a week or more if I have a chance, if I have an opportunity. And one of the things that it's important to me is to be straightforward with people, because my pet peeve is when people are late and when people tell me how to build a clock when I ask them the time. I said, you tell me the time, don't you tell me how to build a clock, because excuses and reasons. And I didn't like that because my grandma used to do that. She told me 45 minutes when she could tell me in about 2 minutes. But I respected my grandma. She was in her 90s, so that's where I got that saying from. Tell me the time, don't tell me how to build a clock. And and I use that with my clients sometimes. I do mostly group therapy. I don't do individual sessions anymore. But I believe that going to New Day treatment and asked to come back. I was a unit manager for a while before I went to Ashland and stuff. I believe saved my life. God's grace and the power of 12-step program is no other reason why I'm alive, because I knew damn well how many times I was in a critical situation, whether car accidents or suicide attempt or this and that, or thoughts of it. But I take care of myself. I take care of myself emotionally too. I'm bipolar. I take care of my situation there. I go to NA to take care of that situation, AA, whatever AA. Between A and Z, I fit everywhere in the middle, whatever you choose. I have no problem fitting into any situation. And my friend used to call me chameleon. He said, you can go every place and you fit in just well. So I'm grateful for that, because I came from nothing from Poland. My dad was in Communist Party and it was all communism. It was so different. I came to the United States. God, everything was go in the grocery store and buy it. There, I had to wait in line the whole time. My mom bought live chickens and killed them and plucked them and cooked dinner. And I've never saw a refrigerator till I was 15 and a half years old. So life is good. And I'm grateful for my friends in recovery. I'm always grateful to come to my conference. And I'm just grateful that I can share my experience, strength, and hope with each other, with other people. And I also know that because once I start doing it and I start getting honest, I knew I was not alone. I had a whole bunch of treatments. I had an EMDR treatment, a lot of trauma, a lot of this and that. And with my dad, it was the toughest because I was 14 when he took his life, and I didn't cry till I was 36. I was in treatment and broke the barrier and cried hard for a long time. But since then, I was able to share that experience with a couple other people who had exactly the same thing, and they're sober too, and they were struggling. That was the only reason why they're sober? Probably not, but it's a step in the right direction. So I'm near the end, and I'm very grateful, and hope everybody has a great time, and maybe we'll meet someday. God knows, right? Thank you.
Thanks, Chester.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. Righty. Love you.